of endless war, or anybody else in our society.
Yeah, Biden said that America is addicted to the problem of immigration instead of having an actual desire to solve that problem. He also criticized the chaotic and deadly withdrawal that happened during the first year of his father's presidency.
I think it was an obvious failure. I think 13 Marines are dead. I think that there was a better way to do it. And I think that, I can blame it on his generals. I can blame it on the people, the way in which we did it. But my dad always knew this also, is that the buck stops with him. I think that was a failure.
So Hunter says it's a failure, but he agreed that we should have pulled out of Afghanistan. But also during that 5-hour interview, he claimed that his infamous laptop, which provided damning photos of drug abuse, among other things, as well as texts and emails, was not real, and that he had no recollection of ever dropping it off at a Delaware repair shop. The FBI, though, has repeatedly confirmed that the laptop is in fact real and was not tampered with. Another point from that interview was that Hunter Biden says he is in $15 million of debt. Andrew and Katrina, he says he has no idea how he's going to pay that off. So it looks like those paintings are not as lucrative these days. Back to you.
All right, Logan Raddick, thanks so much. Yeah, I'm not sure the paintings are selling still. Well, joining us now, former senior advisor to the Department of Homeland Security under Alejandro Mayorkas, that's Bernie Flowers, as well as former special assistant to former President Biden and former press secretary to the First Lady, Michael LaRosa, who's joining us on set throughout the show today. Michael, I'm going to start with you on the question of the border. So we just heard there in these clips from Hunter, two of them, one from earlier in the year here. He's changing his tune about his father's approach to illegal immigration and the border crisis. What do you make of it? And when the Bidens gather around the Christmas table this week, is it going to be awkward? I mean, you know of all people, Biden was notoriously guarded from the press. Hunter, not so much now.
Yeah, look, Hunter sounds a little bit like Senator Joe Biden from the 90s right there. Very similar positions that the Senator Biden held before, I think the party became a little bit more held captive to interest groups and the Latino interest groups in particular. And I think what people forget about that time was, well, at least during the primary and the general election, was Biden really paid a price for Obama's policies of deportation in the Latino community. And that was a group we were trying to bring into our coalition. We wanted them to trust us. And so when we went into the White House, I think what apparently happened, according to a lot of the reporting out there, because the president was clearly advised that there was going to be a crisis if we move forward with overturning a lot of the Trump migration policies, the Remain in Mexico policies in particular. And I think as a way to overcorrect, at least to our friends in the Latino community, we went a little bit too far in trying to distance ourselves. We didn't want to be inhumane, and that's what we accused the Trump administration of. But we wanted to overcorrect for some of those policies.
Overcorrect, maybe a lot. Yes. Yeah. Bernie, of course, as your former role to senior advisor to DHS under Alejandro Mayorkas, I'm sure you have some thoughts on that. An overcorrection?
Merry Christmas, Katrina. Merry Christmas, Andrew. Bottom line is now Hunter Biden wants to cross the aisle and become a Republican? Really? Come on. I don't understand how this man stole all this money and now he's $15 million in debt and he wants to close the border. His father let all these illegals into the United States. I've got a real problem with it. I'll always have a problem with it, as he brought back all these hundreds of thousands of Afghans into the United States without vetting them. And I'm sure that Hunter could have given him advice as to not do this. So I will always hold us against them. Shame on you, Hunter Biden.
Well, just to correct the record, Hunter never stole money. He was never charged with stealing money. I'm not sure what he's referring to.
Okay, well, we also, Bernie, I won't hold my breath to see whether or not Hunter Biden, changes parties to become a Republican, though he doesn't feel like he is in the Democratic.
Speaking of overcorrecting,
right, Michael, he doesn't feel like he's in the Democratic camp as well. Let's stay on the border, though, because we hear from President Trump time and again that you didn't need this grand piece of legislation to shut down the border. You could do it through executive action. Did the Biden White House ever consider that? I mean, you heard a lot of folks in the Biden White House at the time saying then candidate Trump sunk that big border bill that never got off the ground here. Was that ever part of the discussion?
So Biden at his core is an institutionalist, right? He believes, as I think Hunter actually said in part of that interview, that this will never be fixed with executive action. It will never happen. The reason why it's broken is because we're still operating under the 1986 law that Senate Republicans and Ronald Reagan passed. We're still operating under that law. And until we have a new law, this is what's going on. This is what's being enforced. Okay?
Sure, but
so in order to change the problem of immigration, you have to do through the legislative route. He was a big believer in that. That said, he erred, right? We erred. And they overturned executive actions that were actually keeping the border a little bit more stable.
Bernie, of course, you were literally in there when all of this was happening. When I guess I keep going back to Michael, not to tease you, but that overcorrection, we'll gently call it, took place. You saw what was happening in real time. What was it really like? We can talk about laws and things that were overturned and policy changes. You were there.
The bottom line is that we were taking money away from Customs and Border Patrol at the time during the Biden administration. We were taking budget away from them. We were taking authority away from them. People were literally walking through the border and bringing drugs and fentanyl, that sort of thing. Now we've got 20 million illegals in the United States and we've got to get rid of them. And I blame that all on Joe Biden and his crew. And for Hunter Biden to now want to change his spots, I find that to be reprehensible.
All right, I know Michael's dying. I know Michael really wants to respond, but we're out of time. I'm not trying to give Bernie the last word. That's just how it worked out. All right, okay. Merry Christmas, gentlemen. Bernie and Michael, thank you.